Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be filming a full set. This client walked in wanting an infill, but she had a little bit of the shorter nails, so she wanted to go longer, so we decided to soak them off and start again. So what I did was I basically just removed or basically filed all of the previous design back to the thin clear base, and then trimmed the nails and then put them in acetone for about 10 minutes, and they were completely off. And now I'm just doing the prep work. So I've trimmed the nails, trimmed the natural nails, which were completely healthy and strong, and then pushed back the cuticles. And now I'm going in with my 180 sanding band on a very low speed, which is a number 3 on my cyan K drill, basically just focusing on the entirety of the nail, removing all that shine just so you get a good application, as well as minimizing lifting when you come to lay your acrylic. So now I'm going in with my easy tips from Glitter Planet, and these are just the extra long stiletto tips. I like using those tips because it makes it so much easier to just have a perfect shape after just trimming them. So they come in like a stiletto shape, which means they are quite narrow towards the tip. So when you trim the tip, obviously the furthest so the longer you keep the nail, the more narrow it gets, obviously because of the shape. But obviously when you cut them a little bit shorter, it will be like a tapered square type of shape. But regardless, it will make filing so much easier and quicker for you. But anyway, to do this, I am using my KDS glue, and again, you just want to make sure that you have the correct size tips. So if you have a size bigger and a size smaller, always go for the bigger size and trim the edges of those tips to make it fit the nail plate. So I've cut the nails quite short. I wouldn't say they're really short. I would say this is a medium-ish length for me. So a short medium length. So because they're a little bit shorter, it's not as narrow as the client wanted it. So I still go in with my tornado file from CJP, and I just redefine those sidewalls, making them a little bit more narrow. But like I said, if you wanted a tapered square, or the client wanted a tapered square, you could literally just keep those tips as they are without having to file them. But I always just like to file the edges or the sides of the nail to make it fit exactly to the nail plate. So now I am dusting off all of the nails and will come with my primer. So I use my acid primer from CJP and just apply that on the natural nail. And then after that, I will go in with my acrylic system, which is CJP, but I use the powder from Naio Nails, which is the clear acrylic, and I'm using my CJP big boy brush. So when I do this, I just lay a small bead of that clear acrylic, basically just going from the natural nail, blending it towards the middle of the nail, because the tips kind of have a little bit strength as well. So I didn't want to add too much bulk to the nail. I just wanted to add that clear base onto the natural nail, just so when the client comes back in for an infill, we can file back to this layer without damaging the natural nail. So moving on onto design, I'm using one of my favorite colors from CJP, which is Beach Walk, and it's just a very beautiful purpley gray vintage color. It's got a little bit of shimmer, but it's not too overpowering, so I do love that about this powder. It's just so nice because it changes. Like some days you'll see it purple, some days you'll see it gray. It's insane, but I love it. So I'm just doing a full nail of that on the pinky, and yeah, I'll let you guys watch. So for the ring finger, I'm using a stripy, how do you call it, marble, and I'm using actually most of my favorite colors. So on the snail, I'm using all of my favorite colors from CJP basically. So I'm using Slush Fairy at the beginning, and then I used Beach Walk and then Coconut Milk, which if you guys have been watching me for a while, y'all know Slush Fairy and Coconut Milk, yeah, those are just my best friends. So yeah, I am basically just adding those colors randomly onto the nail, and I will basically just stop when I like the way they look. So for the middle finger, I am just doing your typical ombre using Beach Walk at the tip, and I just thought this would look really pretty with Slush Fairy from CJP. So I'm basically just applying Beach Walk at the tip and then blending it towards the middle of the nail to get that seamless blend. So for the thumb, I am using all the three colors to create a nice ombre on like the lower half of the thumb. You'll see what I mean. So I'm using Beach Walk, Coconut Milk, and Slush Fairy all in wet beads, and then getting my brush into a very sharp point and then just marbling those together. Don't swirl it too much because that way the colors are just going to mix together and it will not look like an ombre anymore. So yeah, I am just going to create that ombre on the side of the nail, and then I will come in with Amore from CJP, and I'm just going to apply that at the cuticle area, blending it to the middle. So for the ombre nail on the middle finger, I am using Slush Fairy at the back. So applying that very close to the cuticle area, tucking it at the cuticle, not touching it however, just to make sure it's close enough. And then I am going to build a little bit of my apex using this powder because Slush Fairy is a core powder from CJP, and I just absolutely loved the combination of these two colors. They just looked like they belonged together in the set. So I was very happy that I used those two together. And yeah, so I use Slush Fairy for the middle finger, and then for the thumb, it's also an ombre, like a side ombre but marble. But rather than using Slush Fairy, I decided to use Amore, which is very similar to Slush Fairy without the shimmer. So I just applied that at the cuticle area, blending it towards that marble. So once I've finished applying all my core powders or my colored acrylic that don't contain chunky glitters because you don't want to make a big mess, I go in with Cupcake from Tracy, and it's just a very pretty, it's just a mix of pink, purples, and silver. It's just so cute, and I decided to apply it to the set. So yeah, I applied that on the marble nail, and then now I'm just applying it on the index just making sure you get a good coverage because I did not apply anything on that nail before applying the glitter. So I just try and make sure that I move those chunks of glitters around just to get a full coverage on the entirety of the nail. And then for the thumb, I'm basically going to apply the same glitter, so cupcake, and I'm just going to create a line where the marble and the cuticle bead meet. So I just wanted to have like a barrier between those two colors, and looking at this footage, I wish I extended that line a little bit more further, just because you can see that tip and it just bothered me. But do you know what? I don't think the client noticed it. I said it to her and she was like, it doesn't bother me. And yeah, it still looked very, very cute. And a disclaimer is that that thumb is actually inspired by Tracy. She did a design that I absolutely fell in love with. So it's like a side marble ombre kind of design with glitter, and I just really wanted to create it, and there you go. This was my attempt and I really loved how it turned out. So shout out to Tracy. So basically now I am just capping all of the nails using Naio Nails clear acrylic. And yeah, just build your apex with this, build your strength as well as the thickness at the tip. Just make sure you cap everything very, very well. If you have any glitters, make sure they're inside the nail rather than sticking out, just because when you come to file, you will basically file that bit out. So now I'm just reshaping all of the nails using my tornado file from CJP, and I'm basically just focusing on the sides of the nail, so the side walls and the tip, and then I also flip the client's hand towards their view to have a look at the nails to see if everything is nice and straight, nothing's crooked, and correct anything that I need correcting. So yeah, I'll just let you guys watch this because it's just something that takes practice. So now for my usual filing technique, I'm using my Glitter Planet Smooth Top Fine Drill bit and just, smoothing out the entirety of the nail. And after that, I go in with my carbide fine drill bit and just focus on that cuticle area to make sure that I have a very, very sealed acrylic, which basically means that the cuticle bead is very, very nicely stuck to that nail, not touching the cuticle area, and it's as thin as possible, because if you have the cuticle bead very, very thick, when your nails grow out, they will look like it's just digits, and it will be very, very thick, and you will be able to tell that it's just an extension rather than an actual nail, a normal nail growing out. So after filing, I'm going to buff all of the nails using my CJP buffer, and then after that I will clean with an alcohol wipe and then just do my bling. So I'm using the Kiara Sky base glue, so it's the Dip Essentials base glue as my adhesive, and it works perfect for me, so I highly recommend it. So my favorite bit now is top coat, and I'm using my CJP tack free top gloss, and I'm just applying a thin base on all of the nails. Look at that glitter and those colors all together. They look incredible. I was very pleased with the end result, and I hope you guys like this one too. After this, I cured for 60 seconds in my UV lamp and then waited for it to cool off, and then applied my cuticle oil, and this time I used my watermelon cuticle oil from Nav Stuff, and it smelled absolutely delicious. It made me look forward to summer just so I can have watermelons. I know you can have it any time of the year, but you know, it's nicer in summertime, especially when they're nice and cold. Anyway, this is the final look, you guys. I will insert a clip towards the end for you to see how those nails turned out. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you in my next video.